Good evening, everyone. I'm Keith Flemming. It's all right, Scott. I thought for a second that Scott Porter was going to have a Clint Eastwood Obama moment from the Republican convention where I was going to be talking to a chair the entire show.
My apologies.
Oh, you do not have to apologize. You are good. That is Scott Porter. I am Keith Flemming. We are the two off the tee dudes. This is Fantasy Six Packs golf betting and DFS show. And boy, is it a fun time of the year, ladies and gentlemen, because we are over the next 5 weeks get to see the guys play Fane Bay Hill. We'll immediately then go over to TPC Sawgrass and see the fifth major. Then we have the Masters in 2 weeks, and I stand by Harbortown. I know a lot of people are not a huge fan of that venue, but it's a signature event. I think it's a great course. And literally, we're going to get to see the best players in the world tee it up for the next 5 weeks. So that is obviously a big deal. Scott, you doing okay?
Yeah, man, just had to feed the Huskies and get them all situated. I've been running. If I have alfalfa hay on my shirt, I apologize. I've been doing farm tours since 5 o'clock this evening. So
Thank God Scott's a country boy.
Yeah.
We're going to preview again Bay Hill, which is just, I think, one of the best golf courses out there, one of the toughest for sure. And then, get into Arnold Palmer Invitational. We always try to get right to it, and that's what we're going to do right now by talking about this venue. Boy, is this a difficult golf course. It's not the longest. It's the 13th longest on tour. But what makes it long is you got 9 water danger holes. That is the 9th most on the PGA Tour. You got 84 bunkers all over the frickin' place. So there's the 11th most bunkers on tour and the 14th narrowest fairways. And oh, by the way, if you miss the fairway and you somehow avoid the bunker or the water, you've got the first real rough that these guys are going to see this season, where it is a serious penalty when you hit it in there. And again, this is why I love data. There is data to prove that the sixth most penalizing rough on tour is at Bay Hill. So you want to avoid that. You had the 5th most, penalty strokes as well. Again, 9 water danger holes. Guys are going to find the water. That is what just happens. You have the 3rd toughest par 3s and par 4s on tour at this venue. If you're not birdieing the par 5s, I'm sorry, because the rest of the course is very rough. You're literally every hole plays over par year after year, except for those par 5s. Overall, the plus 0.90, it was the 6th toughest on tour last year. But if you go back to 2020, including the majors, only the U.S. Open has played tougher than Bay Hill and the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Why is that? Again, the link plays a huge part of it. 32% of the approaches are going to come from 200 plus yards. That is a extremely high number for that. Now, there's some factors to that. Obviously, again, the longest par 3s on tour, that plays a fact. I think they're all at least 215 yards. You have par 5s that, again, guys will be hitting, approaches if they hit a good drive in the fairway into. Those will obviously be over 200 yards. But then also just players are laying up a lot off the tee, trying to get it in the fairway, because this is a venue. 6 of the last 7 years, players have hit less than 60% of the fairways. In the last 7 years, players have hit less than 60% of the greens in regulation. So you have to be very good at scrambling. You have to be able to avoid bogeys. And that's not easy to do, because these are very firm, very fast greens. I think it's interesting. These are the 4th largest greens on tour. And again, I just said 7 straight years, these guys have hit less than 60% of the greens in regulation. So this is to quote Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to need to make some birdies on them par 5s and then just try to hold on for dear life. So a few other trends real quick. Like last year, for instance, again, we talk about these irons and the length into them. 18% from 150 to 175, 18% from 175 to 200, and 18% from 200 to 225 yards. That is where a majority, that's 54% for y'all that are not good at math. That's 54% of shots are 175 to 225. And it's going to be, 150, 225. And it could be even higher than that, again, with some of the shots into the par fives and stuff. You look at, again, all those danger holes. Let's look at the recent winners. 5 of the last 6 winners were top 8 in the field, strokes gained tee to green. This is a ball strikers venue. You look at Scotty's 2 wins, and obviously when Bryson won, you remember when he hit it, what was it, 6, and he celebrated. Really cool moment, actually. Watched that again the other day. In those 3 events, they all finished top 12 in driver distance, went on to win the event. Kurt Kitayama won it in a totally different manner by leading the field in driving accuracy. And then I think it's really important because, again, I just think so much of it is the scrambling, the ability to get up and down, whether it be on a par 5 for birdie or a par 4 for par 3 for par. You've got both of the last 2 years, Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley led the field in strokes gained around the greens. 5 of the last 6 winners, top 10 in scrambling, top 21 in putting. And the only other statistic that you should know, and it's one I leaned very, very, very heavily into this week. This is the 3rd most predictive course on tour, meaning that past results matter. Guys that do well here do well again and again and again. Only Augusta National and Riviera Country Club, which was my best week so far this season, are more predictive. And if you look at all the players that have, we're talking about multi, like top 10, top 20 finishes, you see why that is so big. And there are a few like names and bets, DFS plays that I sprinkled in here where a guy say only has 1 start here, but it's good. Like examples of that are like Ryan Fox, who I really like this week, your boy Cootie. Both of them have only played here once. They finished 14th. I will count that, but I would much prefer to have these guys like Hideki, right, who I think has like 8 top 25 here, or Jordan Spieth, who's finished top 4 2 of his last 3 starts here. You really need to look at players with past success here. Outside of that, I really honed in on those approaches from 200 plus is what I really zoned in on. And I leaned a lot more, I think, than most people did on, again, that bogey avoidance, scrambling. I looked at both scrambling from the fairway and from the rough because this rough can be, again, pretty gnarly. And I did look at par 5 and par 3 scoring. The par 5 because it is imperative that you make birdies on those par 5s or you can just forget about it. You are not going to beat this field by, making birdies on par 4s and par 3s. It's just too difficult. And then the other thing with the par 3s is it's not so much you got to go out there and play them great, but you can't lose them, especially when, again, 215 plus yards. You're talking about there's going to be a lot of scrambling and up and down opportunities just on the par 3s. That is not something that we see week in and week out on the PGA Tour. All right, now that I've rambled on for 7 minutes, Scott, what did I miss in my Bay Hill preview there?
Oh man, you almost covered everything I was going to mention. So the ones I really leaned into, obviously, strokes gained approach. 1/3 of the approach shots I've written down are going to be more than 200 yards. That's exactly what you just went over. 54%, more than 150. I actually have the exact same number written down. 3 of the 4 par 3s do play over 215, 220 yards, and the other one's over 200 as well. Strokes gained off the tee. Bay Hill's a hard driving course.
Yes, it is.
It is to your advantage. It's number 9th in the Bombers' Paradise. They put out kind of a weekly statistic to see if the Bombers are going to be more prevalent. It's number 9th on tour, most bomber friendly. So length is obviously important, but as you mentioned, and Kirk Kitayama hits it a long way anyways, but he also led the field that week in driver accuracy. So you want to be accurate, but you also want to be able to hit it long. So that was a trend I looked at. Obviously, strokes gained around the greens. You mentioned it. He took it from me. The last 2 winners, Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley, both led the field in strokes gained around the greens. And then, as always, I think we could rename this podcast to Scrambling and Bogey Avoidance, 2 off the tee, because we're going to look at those no matter what. Now, the most interesting trend, and I'll wrap it up here, the most interesting trend that I found was actually on Twitter, and I should have written down his handle to give him credit for it, so I apologize. But 8 of the last 9 winners had a previous top 10 in the last 6 APIs. And then 7 of those last 9 winners had a top 10 within the last 3 years at the API. So to your point, course history, how they play this golf course, it's a golf course that doesn't change a whole lot year to year. And you kind of know what you're going to get. So, and then the last little part of that last trend was that all 9 had a top 25 in the calendar year coming
That's what I was
into
going to
the
ask
API.
you. I was
So
interested to see if
all
you
9
knew
of
if it was
those,
recent form as well.
yeah, all 9 of those had a top 25, not only in the fall, but in this calendar
year.
So in the last 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, those you highlighted pretty much everything that I wanted to mention. We had drier weather leading into this week than we have in the last couple years. So the fairways not only are going to be fast, but they're going to be firm. The ball's going to be rolling out. So look at that when you're talking about just driver accuracy,
make it even more difficult to find fairways.
The only benefit the players have is the winds are projected to be a little bit lower than in years past. So that's just kind of the weather update. It's firm, it's fast. You mentioned how big the greens are. One thing I really want to hone in on and make sure people understand is a lot of times when you see really big greens, they're pretty flat. At least on tour or even some of the golf courses that are publicly accessible. This is a golf course where not only the greens are big, averaging over 7,500 square feet, they also have a ton of undulation. So you have a lot of those 10 to 12 footers that might break 3 or 4 feet that you would rather be putting, some of the data guys would disagree with me, but some of these guys would rather be putting from 20, 25 feet up the hill than on a side hill. And you're going to get a lot of those on the putting greens.
Yeah, unless you can roll the rock like me, in which case you're like, give me all the tough downhill putts.
That's right.
Let's go over real quick because I actually jotted this down. The top 10 players in the field in strokes gained per round at Arnold Palmer Invitational, Bay Hill. Caveat for a few of these guys because they've only played one event. So really the ones you want to look at is Scotty Scheffler at 2.8. That is the clear leader, followed by Russell Henley, Corey Connors, and Jordan Spieth. Then again, this list, most of these guys, Ryan Fox, your boy Cootie, Michael Kim, and Jacob Bridgman, they've only played once. So yes, they're in the top 10, but it's really skewed because they've only, played it one time. Rory McIlroy and Keegan Bradley, similar to, again, Scheffler, Henley, Connors, and Spieth, they've played it a ton. These are guys that just play this venue very, very well. And I do think that is a huge factor this week is you need guys, whether it be your DFS lineups, your betting cards, etc., who have had success at this venue. Looking at, again, 72 player field, meant to mention that there is a cut. It's one of those kind of goofy events. Again, it is what it is, but it's going to be important on DraftKings because this is like, I hate these because if you have a guy miss the cut, really, whether it's cash or GPP, you're in trouble because there's not going to be a ton of guys missing the cut. I mean, we technically could have, because it is the top 50 and the 10 stroke rule, right? Yeah. So technically everybody could make the cut. Right. Not likely, but I'm just saying, so if you do have guys missing the cut, it is really dangerous. I would highly recommend leaning on, especially the cheaper guys that you're going to put in your lineup, guys that have made the cut a ton here. The DFS play, starting there, I think that it's, again, the horses for courses is different than normal because I gave 5 guys. That is Scheffler, Fitzpatrick, Russell Henley, Jason Day, and Jordan Spieth. I really think that, like, if you want to play Scheffler, I'm never going to say don't play Scotty Scheffler. There is a lot of data saying that if you look at his last 4 times he's played in this event, he's finished no worse than 11th. He's won it twice. I think 4th the other one. 2 of those events, he gained strokes on the green. He won them easily. 2 of the other 2, he lost strokes on the green. And as you can see, he was still in the thick of it. And Scheffler has been putting really well now for over a year. So I will say, if that Scotty Scheffler shows up, it might be night. Even with his irons not being to the elite level they have been in recent years, like it's his long irons right now are not quite as sharp as they normally are. But when you can scramble at the rate that he does, I believe he's still first in scrambling on tour. It doesn't really matter because he's going to get it up and down. But I really like looking at the Day and Spieth part of those horses for courses. I think those are 2 guys that are going to be a little under-owned. Both of them have tremendous records here. And I think it's the same reason. It's what we've been kind of talking about. These guys can scramble their ass off, roll the rock. They can pitch as good as anybody on the planet. And like, especially for Spieth, I feel like this is the kind of course that, Spieth makes golf in so many ways so much harder than everybody else, right? Because he's hitting it all over the planet and he's having to do all this just to make par or whatever. This is kind of a course that makes everybody do that, right? Mm-hmm. So in some ways, this is like, Spieth's like, oh, this is just another, Thursday round for me, to where for the rest of these guys, it's so much more. I really do love the value of those 2 guys at 77 and 7,400. And I feel pretty confident both are going to make the cut. How do you kind of feel about those 2 guys?
Yeah, I definitely think so. You covered Spieth pretty good. Jason Day is one of those guys where I mentioned that trend a little bit ago. The last 9, 8 out of the last 9, 6 out of the last 9 in the last 3 years, and then 9 of the last 9 top 25 in the calendar year. So Jason Day was on that list. So I really do like that play. Just to go over that list because I forgot to. Corey Connors, Day, Fitzpatrick, Fleetwood, Henley, Michael Kim, you already mentioned him, Shane Lowry, Rory, Colin, Justin Rose, Scotty, and Straka, your guys, Sepp Straka. So I use that list to validate some of my picks and opinions. And just because I do think that is, when you have 6 of 9, when you have 8 of 9, and then when you have 9 of 9 have a top 25, that's a trend that's held for almost a decade.
Trends are trends. You ain't got to explain to anybody. We get it.
Definitely
good data.
Definitely hold in there. One guy that I put at the top of my DFS lineup that I really feel like is motivated to play extremely well, has been in really good form, winning at Pebble Beach this year, and he should have won the API, if we're being honest, last year. He kind of got ran over by a
by a damn good dog. Come on.
Yeah, Russell Henley, and he had that insane chip in on 16. It was one of those times where it set off the whole Colin versus the media. He didn't talk. So, by the way, you called it out on Twitter. Props to Shane Lowry for speaking to the media last week, because that's exactly how you're supposed to handle it when you have a disappointing loss. What Colin did last year, as much as I'm about to hype him up for this course, what Colin did last year was not the way you want to handle it. So
he doubled down, which was the worst part. He made a mistake, and then he came back the next day and was like, "No, screw me, screw you."
He absolutely doubled down. So just covering Colin real quick. Last year, like I mentioned, he didn't. I wouldn't even say he choked to Henley. He just had it taken away from him. But he was second in the field for driving accuracy at Riviera, which is one of our course comps. He led Bay Hill in driving accuracy and stroke stand off the tee last year. He's going to need a good putting week. His putter's kind of been hot or cold this year. When it's hot, it's really hot. And then, of course, he qualified from the 3 categories I mentioned beforehand. He's 6th in stroke stand approach, which is one of my biggest ones, obviously, this week. He's 9th in total driving, 23rd in stroke stand off the tee, and he's 10th in driver accuracy. So you've got a really, strong performer coming out at a place that he obviously plays well, a place where he's had some success, and he's a little bit pissed off that he didn't get it done last week, in my opinion. So
And
he,
last year.
yeah, excuse me, I meant to say last year there,
Well, I
but
know, but I
yeah,
mean, he should have won another tournament this year.
he definitely should have. And then my other guy at the top of the board, I'm going to get into all of why, because he's actually one of my longer shots to win. But Robert McIntyre, he's at 9,000. I'm not taking the Scotties. I'm not taking the Rorys at the top, but I'm my entire DFS lineup is from 72 to 9,600. So I'm taking the meat of the field there. Bobby Mack he's a tough course player. He needs his approach play to get better this week, but he finished 11th here last year. He's got some really, really good stuff kind of going for him. He finished 4th in Hawaii and 20th at Riv. Like I said, finished 11th here last year, and his only fault really has been the approach play, but he's a very, very good player from over 200 yards. He's 10th. He's a very streaky putter. He's 10th in putting and 7th in scrambling. So that's kind of the top of my DFS board.
No, I love that. Morikawa too. We talked about this again. The par 5. I think it's huge that he's top 20 right now in par 5 scoring. That is something at times limits him in events, as he's not somebody that just kills par 5s, but seeing him top 20 in those is a big factor. When again, you went over a lot of stuff, but I mean, he's 15th in birdie or better percentage, 13th in green and regulation percentage. So I think he's a very safe play. He is in my cash core. Rory, though, I think is for cash a lot for me. I'll have lineups with Scotty, but Rory, there's just so many things about his golf game right now that could mean we're going to see similar to last year, leading up to the Masters when he won 3 times and won 2 times and obviously won the Masters. I think Rory's about to go on a little run. He's finished 21st or better in his last 9 Arnold Palmer Invitational starts. So he likes this venue. 5 top 6s and 8 top 15s in those 9 starts. So again, I think he likes it. But just like, I didn't know how good some of his numbers were. He is first both in strokes gained tee to green and strokes gained approach. That's obviously very good. Very good around the greens at 19th strokes gained around them. Surprising thing, he's 36 in strokes gained off the tee, which that is a little surprising for somebody like Rory. Now, he's missed more fairways than he typically does. That probably is playing a factor in that. But the good news is the dude is scrambling as well as he ever has in his entire career. He is right now 9th in scrambling, 4th in sand save percentage. He's still making the second, highest birdie or better percentage, 1st in bogey avoidance. And then, oh, by the way, he's 2nd in par 5 scoring and 4th in par 4 scoring. And you're getting him for $2,500 cheaper than Scheffler. I am very hopeful that this is finally the event, because both of them have such great track records here. This golf course is basically built for their games, that we may get the Rory Scheffler going into the weekend, slugging it out with them both playing good, which I think, boy, does the game need. Like, these two guys are so good. And they're not the kind of personalities where we're not going to get a lot of news and hatred or, buzz, let's call it that, right? From a feud or rivalry between these two guys. But what they can do is both play unbelievable golf. And I think if we got to see them both at the top of their games, even if it's just for 2 rounds playing together, I think the numbers would be huge. I think that it would get attention of people out there, and I am all in for it. So I do think Rory's a great value. Hideki is also in my cash game core. This could be the best year of Hideki's career. He is just playing so well right now. 22nd or better in 4 of his last 5 starts at Bay Hill. He enters, obviously, I think he's already had 4 top 15s this season. And then again, all those metrics that we're looking at: 16th tee to green, 13th strokes gained approach, 4th strokes gained around the greens. But the 2 big ones we talked about: bogey avoidance, scrambling, and approaches of 200 plus yards. Dude, 2nd and approaches the 200 plus yards. He is first in scrambling and second in bogey avoidance. So again, for me, the like flashing green lights is they got to be able to hit long irons and they got to be able to scramble and avoid bogeys. He's obviously nailing both of those. And then, oh, by the way, 31st in par 5 scoring, 29th in par 4, and 6th in par 3. So he's just playing good across the board. The only risky play in my cash game core is Cootie, who again only has the one start. He finished 14th, which is great for his one start there. But again, it's just metrics. I mean, 12th tee to green, 7th off the tee, he's 4th in green and regulation percentage. I didn't know he's pretty good at scrambling. I mean, he's 34th at 27th bogey avoidance. And then he's 12th in par 5 scoring. So he's obviously going to be able to eat those up. But the guy that I love this week is going to be in the most lineups. We're coming right back to the little Shane Lowry. You manned up. You stood there. You took your medicine. But more importantly, I know everybody wanted to focus on the fact that he lost, and that's fair. But don't forget, it was just another really good start in the state of Florida on Bermuda golf courses for Shane Lowry. He loves these venues, and he's had consecutive top 7 finishes at Arnold Palmer Invitational. And then again, the metrics across the board, like what do you want? He's 12th in strokes gained approach, 19th in strokes gained putting. He is actually somebody who drives it straight, 40th in driving accuracy. And then again, we talked about the scrambling, the bogey avoidance, 200 plus yards. He's 10th in approaches at 200 plus, 20th in scrambling, and 19th in bogey avoidance. You can't beat that. And he is also somebody who he needs to play the par 5s. Well, I think he's like 41st on them, but I think the 7th on par 4s will be huge. He is somebody who has been eating up par 4s. He did it again last week. And most importantly, like he's putting great this season. Obviously, he's top 20 in strokes gained putting, but he's an even better putter on these exact type of greens. And we saw that, if it wasn't for 2 bad swings, that was an unbelievable tournament last week after a really slow start. So those are like the core plays. The guys that I'll be using probably the most are Rory, Lowry, and then I'm trying to figure out a way to decide, do I want to play more of Hideki or Colin? Hideki's slightly cheaper, so that may end up being as simple as that. I do have some cheap plays, but go ahead and go in any direction you want to, buddy.
Well, next on my list, it was like you were reading off my notes right here because I have Shane Lowry at 8,100. He is 3rd on my DFS lineup. People want to talk about last week because it was ugly. There was 2 really ugly golf swings. Yep. The one golf swing on 16 off the tee with the 3-iron reminded me of Mito Pereira.
Yes, their follow-throughs even
the follow-through in the PGA Championship. The moment was just a little too big for Mito that day. And Shane had a little bit similar experience last week at the Cognizant. He even said it himself in this press conference. He just said he couldn't feel the club face. Like he couldn't find the center of the face.
Yep.
And we all, as golfers, we all know what that feels like. So just to
and go back over, worse than when you're trying to do the right thing. That's what I felt the most bad for him. He's hitting the iron off the tee, right? Like that is like what you're supposed to do, and then when you still screw that up as a golfer, like think about how mad we get. Could you imagine being that good?
Oh man!
And you decide to hit an iron, and then you end up doing something like that.
100%. You mentioned most of these. I'm gonna run through them really quickly. He's 12th in strokes gained approach. He's 7th in strokes gained total. He's 19th in strokes gained putting. He's even better than that on the Bermuda, like you said. And he's 10th in strokes gained approaching the greens over 200 yards. Shane Lowry is the epitome of a ball striker. He is the epitome of a guy that knows how to play Florida golf, like you said. Bermuda greens, Bermuda most of the way around. A little bit of ryegrass mixed in there. He
lives down there now, right? So like that's what,
Yeah, he does. One note on Rory, and I'll touch back on Rory. This would be the 3rd win of the week because he won in TGL Monday night or Sunday night, and then he turned around with his dad and won the pro member at Seminole. Yeah, the big one where all the tour. And so that's something his dad Gary has been wanting to do.
That's cool.
Jerry, anyways.
Did they have it on TV?
No, no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. That's all Twitter insight.
I was just
So
curious 'cause I saw the event was coming up,
yeah,
and I think they did 1 year broadcast like
yeah.
part of it. So
So I love Shane Lowry. My next play is probably the just based on current form, and we didn't see him play rightfully so last week. But when I call out some of these numbers, so before I give you his name, I'm just gonna tell you his numbers and tell you that he's only 7,700 in cash games on DFS. He's first in strokes gained putting. He's fourth in strokes gained total. He's ninth in strokes gained approach. He's second in birdie average, and he's third in scoring average on the tour. Oh, and by the way, he's also your FedEx Cup leader to this point of the season. That is my dude, Jacob Bridgman. Um, he doesn't have I'm not sure if he has a start
he's made
here.
one
Maybe
start,
one,
but he
yeah.
did good. I think he finished 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Let
Okay,
me double
so
check that for you. Go ahead.
he isn't one of the guys that has the course history, but at 7,700, coming in fourth in the middle of the pack of my lineup to take a guy that is,
Yeah, he finished 15th last year, Scott.
I'm not going to say what I did against Scott up a couple weeks ago when I said he might be the hottest player in the world. I'm not saying that, but Bridgman is top five as far as the hottest guy out there on tour with the confidence in his game. He won 2 weeks ago. You're getting a ton of value at only 7,700 yards for a guy that's rolling the rock as well as he is for a guy that is, like I said, second in birdie average. That's across for the season, and I mean you have to make birdies when you
He drove
can
it so
here.
straight when he won a couple of weeks
100%,
ago too, which
100%.
that
And
could
then
be a huge weapon.
if you're going to tell me I can get a guy in the middle of my DFS lineups that's leading the tour in putting on a tough Bermuda
That's
greens
a
golf course,
very fair point. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
going to be. I'll finish up because I've already mentioned him. Again, just going over the numbers: fourth in strokes gained off the tee, eighth in strokes gained total, fifth in driver distance. He needs the putter to warm up. It has gone cold on him, but that is Chris Gotterup. Chris Gotterup is even cheaper than, or excuse me, he's technically the third most expensive on my list at 8,300, but I actually, as I was going through it, I had more money to go back up and get one of the top guys that I didn't think I was going to be able to get. My lineup is full of dudes right now that are playing really, really good golf and also have had success on Bermuda greens, had success kind of in and around this golf course. And then my last one, just to round it out so I can throw it back to you.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the well. He let me down last week. He did not play well, but he rallied for a T11, and that is my boy Nicola Hojgaard.
You're going on the
Hojgaard.
tip. That's who Andrew was going with earlier.
So
Okay.
the thing is, I was pretty not disgusted after the first 2 days, just because I expected so much of him. Like you said, I leaned too hard into the favorites last week, and may just be known as that guy that leans too hard into the top of the field. But you have a guy in Nikolai that he's doing all of the right things. Let me get back to where I have his stats real quick.
Yeah, man, you're good.
And that's the only problem with filming on my phone. I'm going to fix that before next week. So he is strokes gained. He's sixth in strokes gained total, 10th in strokes gained off the tee, 11th in approach. I've got him. He's actually my favorite play to top 5 and top 10 this week. He's plus 830 to top 5. I know we're not there yet, but we will get there. And then he's plus 360 to top 10. I think he's in great current form. He battled last week. He almost got back all the way into the top 10, which would have cashed for your boy. It's one of those things where I really, really feel like he is going to get a big win on the PGA Tour, and it might come in a place that puts a emphasis on ball striking because he is ball striking just as well as anybody this season.
I can't argue with any of that. The value plays this week, again, you're going to see it's trying to stick to that same script. Have success at this venue, excel with their long irons, bogey avoidance, scrambling. You mentioned Sepp Straka in that list. He's 7,400. He finished fifth here last year. I know that his numbers, they're not great, but that's what's so amazing about him as a ball striker is everybody's talking about how he's not having as good of a ball striking year. He's 22nd tee to green, 26 on approach, 38th around the greens. He's 16th in, total driver efficiency. It's still pretty good. He plays par fives well. He's 31st. And this just is the kind of venue that if Straka gets hot, which he can, where he's just hitting fairways And he last year, I think, was top 10 in approaches of 200 plus yards. He could get back to that. So I think that he is worth definitely a mention. Nick Taylor, 7,300, I think is my favorite, 7,500 and
I almost
below
had him.
play. This is just, again, you look at the venue and, again, pricing, and it is a cut, but he's made the cut 3 of the 4 years, finished 32nd or better 3 of his 4 tries here. And he's another guy that, like, some of the numbers from a ball striking perspective are not as good as they've been in previous year, but they're still pretty freaking good. Like, he's 44th in strokes gained tee to green, 47th strokes gained approach. He also is still very good around the greens, 43rd around the greens. He is technically 175 to 200, like second in approaches. And that kind of shows because he's second there, and then he's like 45th, I think, in 200 plus. But he has that capability to be elite. Like, he is somebody that historically, from like 175 and further, one of the best iron players on the planet. But the big thing, what do we keep talking about? Being able to scramble. He is 5th in scrambling, 7th in scrambling from the rough, and he's a really good putter. I just feel like that he's going to end up being able to make pars, make the cut, etc. And at that price tag, why not? The other guy, we got Kashmir, Keith Mitchell, 6,900. This is a Keith Mitchell golf course. I know he hasn't had the success recently, but from 2019 to 2023, 2 top 6 finishes, 3 top 10s just at Bay Hill. And he's still just a ball striker. I mean, you look at his 20th in green and regulation percentage. He's top 30 in strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained off the tee. He's 31st in total drive efficiency. And then the 2 cheap plays that, again, I really do like these guys. Sahith Theegala, 6,800. Somebody who he missed the cut here last year, but don't forget he was really struggling with his game this time last year. But he's another one that if you look in between the missed cuts in 2022, which was his first start here, and last year when he was struggling, he finished 14th and 6th. Like, this is a course that sets up well for him. He is top 30 right now in putting. He's 25th in scrambling. Even more importantly, he's 5th scrambling from the rough. He's top 30 in bogey avoidance. And the thing I really like about Theegala, he's 12th right now in par 5 scoring. And that's huge because we keep, hammering that point home. If these guys don't take advantage of the par 5s, they're not going to be able to compete to win. They can make the cut, potentially top 10, top 20. But if you want to win, you have got to murder these par 5s. And then it's a very popular pick at this point. I'm seeing it everywhere, but that's not going to stop me from playing them. And that is Ryan Fox, who is 6,700. He's only had 1 start here back in 2023. Ironically, it was the same year that Pearson Coody played. And ironically, they both finished 14th. So do that with what you may. But he is somebody that, again, fits the bill out here. He is currently 33rd in strokes gained tee to green, 37th on strokes gained around the green. He's another one, guy like Jake Knapp. He's a good putter, and people don't talk about that. He's 31st in strokes gained putting. But the big thing, dude is an elite iron player with his long irons. On tour right now from 175 to 200 yards on approaches, he ranks 11th. On approaches of 200 plus yards, he ranks 12th. And then he makes a ton of birdies. He's 11th in birdie or better percentage. And that's second on par 3s, which, again, I think that is because he's so good with those long irons that could come in huge this week. Like, if you're somebody that can play the par 3s just at even or under par this week, you're going to be gaining strokes on the field when, as Scott mentioned, they're all at least 200 yards. So I do think that there's value at the bottom, with those, obviously 7,500 and under plays. Most of my lineups this week are going to be built with Rory, Lowry, and then kind of figuring it out. And there's a couple of different ways I can go that. I can go with 2, guys in the 6K range, and I can get up to some of the guys in like the 8, 9K range. Or, you kind of do what you did, where you take basically Rory and Lowry, and then you just kind of go right into that median pricing, which is, either way is fine. I do think, though, again, this is going to be the week that Rory and Scheffler.
I hope so.
I think so. I just think they're both trending in the right direction. This is like the ultimate venue. I mean, Tiger won here a gazillion times, right? And why did Tiger win here all the time? Because he was so good at scrambling. He was so good with his long irons. And if you look at it, like that's kind of what Scheffler and Rory are, morphing into, because Rory's scrambling numbers are absurd. Scheffler's have been absurd for a few years, and they're both, getting better and better with their long irons. Let's talk some wagers to win people some moolah. I'm not going to lie. I did not like, buddy, the betting odds on this. Because
I think that's just a weekly. I think that's a weekly thing for
Well, that might be fair. I like to whine about stuff, but like Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
I really like this. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I was all excited. I was like, yeah, Matt Fitzpatrick, he'll be around like 30, 35 to 1. That's going to be one of my first clicks. And I'm going 20 to 1.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I'm tempted to play Scheffler at, plus 325. I'm not recommending it because it's just such sick odds, but like at least they're giving you a Scotty over 3 to 1, which that's like 50-50 most weeks. So my betting card for the bets to win, Colin, who we talked about, Morikawa, 27 to 1. That is my lowest odd guy I'm betting to win. Him and Hideki, who are 31 and 27. I just feel like they're having a great season.
Mm-hmm.
They're so good around the greens. They're both really good iron players, with their long irons. And then I attack the middle of the pack as well with Lowry at 47, Adam Scott at 48, and Sepp Straka at 58 to 1. These are, again, guys that are elite ball strikers who I think could, potentially drive their way. And you might be going, Adam Scott, you haven't even mentioned him. It just needs to be said. Scott's got a very good record at this venue. He is another guy that you can go back, and it's just absolutely outrageous. So he's been 41st or better in 5 of his last 7, but he has 9 career top 15s at Arnold Palmer. We forget he's been playing for freaking ever. But it's remarkable what he's doing. It is so unusual for somebody at his age to all of a sudden have gained all this speed, where his ball speed is like flirting with 190, which
188.
That's insane. The dude's like 40 something years old. And what's scary for the field, he's not really losing any of that accuracy. He is right now 29th on tour in driver accuracy and 29th on tour in driver distance. And I could see one of those weeks where if he gets hot with the driver, which we used to see him do this when he wasn't hitting it as far as he is now, he would just basically, again, ball strike people to death. And he can do that still because he's 33rd in green and regulation percentage. He's 13th on approaches of 200 plus yards. So he's still very good from that distance. And oh, by the way, he's 17th in scrambling, 14th in bogey avoidance. That's 2 big checks. And then what I really love, he's 11th in par 5 scoring and 6th in par 3. Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me. And he's 3rd in strokes gained off the tee right now. Like, Adam Scott, like, don't be shocked if he goes ham. And that's why he's definitely one of my bets to win. And again, if you want to put him in a DK lineup, I'm not going to complain. I do think there's potentially more safe plays. I just think his ceiling. And then I have 2 long shots to win that I've already mentioned. It's Sahith Theegala at 96 to 1 and Ryan Fox at 140 to 1. I don't think either one of them are going to win. Again, I think it's the Scheffler and Rory week. But at 96 and 141, I do like their odds. Like both of these guys, Theegala's finished 14th or better twice. Ryan Fox, finished 14th, and your only start at a very difficult venue shows he obviously likes the golf course. So weirder things have happened, but that's the bets to win. I do like when we get into the prop bets, I actually like those more than the bets to win this week. I think there's some real value in that. But who you got to win this week, buddy?
If you're gonna make it a Scotty and Rory race, I'm going to take the one that gets me $100 if I bet 10, and that's gonna be taking Rory. That's gonna be Rory. You just get, you're getting more than twice the amount of value because I really don't. When they're both firing at all cylinders, I don't think there's a plus 700 difference between Scotty and Rory. When they're both firing as they are. Just to go back over some of the things with Rory, he's incredible off the tee. We all know that, but he's leading this year in the tour in strokes gained approach. He's first. He is second in strokes gained total. He's 12th in total driving. So while he is taking I think you said he who's 35th and off the tee, but he's 12th in total driving. So it's one of those things where, like, he's gonna. I don't expect him to finish the year at 35th
Right.
and
I
stroke
don't
gained off
either.
the
I
tee.
did not either.
Rory kind of does this thing where he it really depends on which driver's in his hands. I'm not sure which one he's currently playing. I know that last year they were trying to get him in the QI35. He's stuck with the QI10. He just needs to have confidence in what he's looking down at. And then he's fourth in scrambling. Like you said, he's scrambling his golf ball just as good as anybody in the world. If you're gonna make me choose between the two as a gambler, I'm gonna take the one that gives me, if I place $10 bets, that's 1 unit. So I'm going to take the guy that gets me $100 back instead of $35. So that's just why I went with
and Rory
Rory.
putts very well in Bermuda greens. I meant to mention that as well.
Yeah, he does. My next play, we already mentioned Colin 27-1. It's my favorite play of the week just because I expect him to come out. Colin has this side where he can kind of flip a switch and be a villain a little bit. And I think he actually plays some of his best golf when, I'm not saying that people are looking past him. He's obviously at the top of the board, but he plays his best golf when he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I think last year, losing to Henley the way that he did, I've already mentioned that. But he's second in the field. He was second in the field for driver accuracy at Riviera. He led Bay Hill in that stat last year. With him, it's always, is he going to putt well? He needs to have a good putting week. And then, just going back over it again, he's 6th in strokes gained approach. He's 9th in total driving, 23rd in strokes gained off the tee, 10th in driver accuracy. So you're giving me 27-1 with Colin. I'm going to take it. My longer shots. This one is a guy we have not mentioned yet. But if you're talking about pure ball striking over the last decade, you have to mention his name. He's not in the best form as of currently. So this is me going out on a little bit of a limb, and that is Victor Hovland. He's 46-1. Okay. He should have won here in 2022. He was the 54-hole leader. And then he kind of flailed on Sunday, and I think he finished T10. But again, that puts us in those categories where he's had a top 25 in the last 3 years. He's not in the greatest form, like I mentioned, but he loves this golf course. He's 17th in strokes gained approach. He's 64 in strokes gained over 200 yards. He's 21st in scrambling. He's 29th in scrambling from the rough. So all of the things that we're kind of mentioning. And then my last play that I'm just going to sprinkle. We talked about that last week, just a little sprinkle. But I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on my boy Bobby McIntyre. Bobby McIntyre is 58-1. I already mentioned a couple of these. He finished
plays
4th
hard course as well, man.
He played that was one of my points right here. He plays hard course as well. He finished 11th here last year. He finished 4th in Hawaii this year, 20th at Riv. His only fault this year, which is a little bit odd for him, is his approach play has not been the greatest. But he's a great, I literally have written down, he's a great tough course player. For him to win this week, I think the wins need to pick up a little bit more than what they're predicted to, because he's a great win player. But he's 10th in strokes gained putting. He's 35th in strokes gained off the tee. He's 7th in scrambling. But again, the biggest red flag for him, so just full credit, he might be one of the dudes that missed the green if his iron play doesn't, misses the cut if his iron play doesn't improve. He's
any guy in this field outside of like Scheffler and Rory,
for sure,
would not shock me if they miss a cut.
He's 141st in strokes gained approach. So that's the glaring problem with Bobby Mack. But that has not been who he is in his career. That he's been a great iron player. He's been a great wedge player. He's been a great more than 200 guy. So he's 58-1. I think it's worth a little sprinkle. So we're gonna sprinkle.
Did you get a chance to look? Like now, I'm curious. Is it his like long irons? Is it just his irons in general? Because that is shocking. He has been historically somebody who usually is like top 50 pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
And let's get in.
All the green flags were there. Once I saw 141st in approach, that was a major red flag. So I just stopped looking because I didn't want to dive into it any farther. Because I really do like him this week. I just love him as a golfer. Though,
this is also why like we can't get too carried away with some of the statistics early in the season. Like he's 143rd, right? And approaches from 200 plus yards. You're talking about 37 attempts, right? So it's not like he's hit a ton of them. I mean, data is data. Don't get me wrong. I believe in that more than anybody, but I'm just saying that it is still really early in the season. And especially for guys like him, talking about like Nick Taylor, Sepp Straka, like these guys that historically are actually elite from those distances, it's usually more likely they get at least closer to the median range for their career than it is just, unless this is just a down year.
No doubt.
Again, I love the value of 2 of the top 5 plays. Shane Lowry at plus 720, and Jason Day at plus 950. They've done it. I mean, Day, again, top 10, 2 of the last 3, plays this course extremely well. Lowry has finished 7th or better each of the last 2, and you're getting basically 7 and 9 to 1. Like you can't beat that. The top 10, I love the odds on, again, Jason Day plus 405, Adam Scott plus 325, and Andrew Putnam plus 1450. He has finished top 10 2 of his last 4 starts here. And you're getting basically 15 to 1 for him to finish top 10. Again, it's also only a 72-player field. And then the 2 plays that I'm going to sound like a broken record, but for the top 20s, and they're my biggest wagers this week, you can get Shane Lowry at plus 128 and Jason Day at plus 162. Love the value there. Like, I can't believe, again, it's a 72-player field. So they basically have to beat 50 golfers to fall inside that top 20. You're getting plus odds on both of them. I think with Lowry, I think that, again, he just seems like a good dude. He went to that press conference. He went face on with the media. He didn't sugarcoat. He said, I just blew it. And I have so much respect for people who do that. I think that's the easiest way to move on from trauma in general in your life, is to face it, be honest about it, and move forward.
For sure.
But especially on the golf course, because that stuff will get to you, man. Like, it just does. Like, if Scotty Scheffler has another bad first round this week, there's real issues. Like, this is, now you're talking about 4 straight events where he does it. So, at that point, we know it's in his head. So I just think Lowry's going to bounce back. You're getting plus 128. And then Jason Day. I'll take Jason Day to top 20 at a venue like this all day, every day, because of his short game. Literally just because of his short game. Like, I think that it was the PGA Tour. One of them shared a video of, it's like 10 minutes of him just chipping over the last decade, whether it be out of the bunkers, heavy rough, whatever. He's unbelievable. He's one of the best putters in recent, memory, inside like 10, 15 feet. He just makes everything. These are really good fast greens, which is, the big deal. And I think that he's going to have a good week. He loves this golf course. Where is his actual? I want to make sure I don't okay. Yeah, here we go. So Day since 2016, he won this event in 2016, 23rd in 2017, 22nd, 2018, 31st in 2021, 10th in 2023, and then 8th last year. So almost all of those weeks, he was either top 20 or he was right there outside, 21st, 22nd. Don't get me wrong. I will be very upset if he finishes 21st or 22nd with me betting half a unit on him to top 20. But I just feel really safe in him. And again, like for cash game lineups, I think Day and Lowry are as safe, along with Spieth, of plays that you're going to get this week. And part of me regrets not betting Spieth to win. Because I do think that, again, this is the kind of venue and everything where if he continues to strike it well, which this is one of the few venues, tee to green, he really has been for, the last 4 or 5 years he's played in it. We know what Spieth can do, scrambling and just pulling stuff out of his keister. I don't know any other golfer on the planet that you can be like, wait a minute, where is Jordan Spieth's drive at right now? And then you turn the channel, you flip back over, and he's made a 30-footer for par, and you're like, he can't keep getting away with this. Like,
we call that Spiething, and it's a term that only watchers of the PGA Tour would even know what that means. But Spiething is it's kind of like, anyways. So yeah, we have a lot of the same plays. Actually, can you do me one favor? Because I think I wrote down the wrong number. What is Tommy Fleetwood to top 5?
Go ahead and I'll get you that number
All
right
right,
now.
perfect. So I'm gonna jump to my top tens.
Yeah.
One that I really really like is Corey Connors at plus 435 to top 10. He hits all the trends that we mentioned earlier. He's 30th in total driving. He's sixth in driver accuracy. He just needs the putter to heat up. Don't worry, by the first round of the Masters, it will be hot because he plays the first round of the Masters
Right.
about as hot as
He
anybody
always
in
does.
history.
Yep.
I bet him every year. Just side note, I bet him every year to be the first round leader at Augusta, and I think it's hit like 2 out of the last six
You need to
years. So
start giving some first round bets. That's the one thing I don't do. And it kind of drives me crazy because I have people a lot asking me why I
cool.
don't
Yeah,
do them.
I'll start adding
I
them.
would
I'll
love
add
for you
two
to.
because
Seriously.
I do two pretty much in everything. So top fives, Bobby Mack. Just to repeat everything I said. He's plus 270. This is a little bit me going out on a limb there because I just expect him to
I
play
think it's a
well.
smart play.
And then going back to the well with Nikolai for plus 360 to top 10. He let me down last week, like we mentioned, but he grinded to finish T11. He's sixth in strokes gained total, 10th in strokes gained off the tee, 11th in strokes gained approach. He's plus 830 to top five. If you wanted to play that, that's an incredible value. But again, I think the top 10 is a safer, not that it's safe, but a
No, I know
safer
what you mean. Yeah.
play. But you get obviously more than double the value if you do play him to top five. And then my last play, I'll wait for you to pull the odds if you
It's
can.
315 plus
Plus
315.
315. I had plus 146, which I think is his to top 10.
Yep. That's
But
exactly what it is. It's
yeah,
top 10.
I wrote down the wrong one. I really we haven't even talked about him, but if we're gonna talk about ball strikers, there's so many guys this week that I would not surprise me if they play extremely well. But Tommy
Right.
Fleetwood is one of those guys. He's fifth in strokes gained total. He's 31st in strokes gained off the tee. He's 33rd in driver accuracy. He's second in scrambling. Um, I man, I just love Tommy. I'm not trying to copy his hairstyle. I promise. I'm really not. I just haven't gotten a haircut. But Tommy Fleetwood he's a consummate professional. He's one of the best players in the game. He needs to I mean, he's been playing extremely well. He needs to keep the trajectory of his career going after the tour championship win.
Mm-hmm.
He needs a regular PGA Tour win to validate all the success he had last year. And he's trending so well. So it would not surprise me in the slightest. You're getting over 3-1 odds for him to top five. And it doesn't even scare me if he doesn't come out of the gate super hot because he's a guy that when the pressure gets a little bit more rant, he's going to continue to play well. It wouldn't surprise me if he backdoors his way into a top five there towards the end of the week. So again, this is actually, I think, the week that we've been in agreement, whatever. We've been the
On the
most
same page.
aligns, yeah,
Yeah.
the most aligns with our pick. So really, really, really super excited to watch this week, man. I get geared up for the hard
Oh yeah. No,
events.
this is a great. This is a great.
The hard
Um,
events, they do more for me, and I think they do more for Jordan Spieth and for Shane Lowry and a couple of the guys that we mentioned than these birdie fests do.
yeah, for
I
sure.
think there's some guys, and this is just a quick side note. I think there's some guys on the tour where if they had to go back through the Corn Ferry Tour to get their card, they would
They'd have a
struggle.
hard time. Yeah.
Yeah, just from the birdie side of things, this is not a week that those guys struggle. This is a grinder's golf course. This is a golf course that's going to test you in every facet, like a U.S. Open. I love the stat that you gave to lead the show that this is the second hardest event on the PGA Tour in the last 5 years, other than a U.S. Open.
Yeah. It's
Um,
nuts.
and I can't wait to preview TPC Sawgrass. I can't wait
Hmm.
to preview Augusta National. I know we got some guests hopefully coming in for those.
Yeah. Byron will be here for the Masters for sure.
Perfect. This event is up there in one of my favorites to watch every single year, just because it tests all aspects of their game. So I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Me too. And we'll see next week with Sawgrass. The exact opposite. It is not a venue
Yeah.
where you have guys that continually play well there. You're going to really need players that do specific things well, or doing specific things well entering the event. Just for the record, I had a couple of smirks and I'm sure noises in there. Just looking at Scheffler's like strokes gained numbers at this venue, it's outrageous. So 2.70 strokes gained tee to green. The next highest is 1.58. 1.86 strokes gained ball striking. The next highest is 1.45. 1.05 strokes gain off the tee. That's at least somebody near. It's 0.97 by my boy Keith Mitchell. And then even strokes gained approach 0.81, which there is people higher than him. But of course, then he is Scotty Scheffler. There's nobody higher than his 0.84 strokes gained around the greens. What's nuts is he's actually losing 0.13 in putting. And again, I don't know if you were with us at the beginning. The last 4 years, 2 years, he's gained strokes here. He's won those tournaments pretty easily at the Bay Hill. And then the 2 years that he lost strokes, I mean, he lost strokes. It was like -1. He almost won. He finished fourth and 11th. So it might be the, we forgot. Scotty Scheffler is still the best golfer in the world come Sunday. But I'm hoping, again, we get that Rory, Scheffler weekend matchup. All right, real quickly before we get out of here, because I want to ask this. Is Jon Rahm the biggest bitch in the world?
He's up there. He's up there. And I like Jon Rahm. I really like
I do too, but
watching
man,
him.
I'm getting sick of him complaining. You just got paid $300 million. You made the decision to go play over there. I get you're unhappy, but
I think it's buyers. It's just buyer's remorse. But yeah, no, I'm right there. I mean, Phil's up there. It seems that most of the bitchiest guys, most of the crybabies seem to go to live. That's why I respect some of the ones that went, like Cam Smith. He doesn't come out and say anything.
Yeah, you
bad.
don't hear him.
Joaquin Neiman, he doesn't come out kind of bitching him on. And I would argue that Joaquin Neiman, while he did have that stretch 2 years ago where he won like the first 3 or 4 live events, he was like, in Phil Mickelson's words, the hottest player in the world.
Right. Yeah.
I think going to live has been his, like, as far as everyone that went to live, I think Joaquin's had the biggest hit to not only his golfer's reputation, but just his like career trajectory. Yeah. Like, I just feel like we don't talk about him anymore. And he was top 5 in the world for potential, I would say, for a long time, kind of early in the PGA Tour. And same with Cam Smith. It's just one of those things where I hate to see it, because one of the we talked about TPC Sawgrass next week. One of the things that I listen to fall asleep is Cam Smith's every shot from his win at the Players in 2022. And just because it was just his
last
show.
PGA Tour event, the putting display he did at the Open in that final round is, I think, the greatest putting like round of golf I've ever seen. Like the 2-putt, what was it, 17, where he putted around
the bunker.
Like, get out of here! Like, you don't realize how difficult that is, and he just lagged it up there to like 3 feet.
And you'll like this. If you put a face-on view of his putting stroke and Tiger Woods' putting stroke, it's identical. Wow. You cannot find any differences. So I know you're a huge Tiger guy.
Oh yeah.
And
which,
by the way, I know we're running long. Are we going to see Tiger at Augusta?
Oh yeah, he's going to play at Augusta.
You think he's going to play?
I'd be shocked. I mean, I'm not expecting really much or anything, but
no,
I
of course
think
not.
He'll be there, and it seems like he's finally, I think, getting to the point where he knows it's almost like ceremonial. And that's what's great about Augusta is those guys, like, it's a great story if they end up making the cut, or whatever. Jack Nicklaus, I think, was like 62 or 63 and finished 10th or 11th.
Fred Couples was another one.
Yeah, well, I mean, Fred, though, was like doing it regularly to where Jack like had not had, I don't think, like a top 30 finish at Augusta in, a decade. And all of a sudden he was like T10th or whatever. So I just want to see him back out there playing.
100%.
If it's, which it most likely is, his career's done. Not a bad deal to tie Sam Snead. You got 15 majors.
I will say this: the senior tour needs him, because the senior tour is struggling to get views, man. But if Tiger goes, those views are going to skyrocket.
The concern I have about that, and I'm not even trying to be a smartass here, but like, does the senior tour start getting like more views than the PGA Tour? Because you're going to have a lot of people that watch golf
100%
that weren't really golfers. They just loved Tiger and watching him.
100%.
And I wonder if that wouldn't start some crap, right? That all of a sudden now, the senior tour is getting, more people to sponsors and stuff would change, obviously, where I think these corporations, especially the ones, say, for instance, Cognizant, it's been a pretty bad deal if you're the Cognizant Classic, right? Like the
100%.
PGA Tour is not exactly lowering their, tournament sponsor fees. And you went from like 4 or 5 years ago, they had Tiger Woods. Like they had those guys at that event to where now, I mean, we went over the field. It was just last week.
It's
It was
all
not
part of the
great.
scheduling. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the scheduling.
Well, that's what I mean.
The
but
one
they're
thing I will
not
say
charging
is
anymore,
this would have to be over multiple years, but I think the fix for that is to put the Champions Tour Monday through Thursday. If you moved it, which obviously
Right.
this is just me making something
Well, you
up.
mean
but,
Monday through Wednesday? They only play 3 rounds.
oh, excuse me. Yes, they only
Except for
play
the
54.
majors or
So
whatever.
so
Yeah.
Monday through Wednesday. That means we get 7 days of golf, and then 3 of the 7 we get to watch Tiger freaking Woods. Who
Would
wouldn't
you
love
have them
that?
play the same venues?
Man, that would be cool. If I was in charge, that would be cool. I don't know if it's reasonable with
I
practice
don't hate
rounds
that
and
idea.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Maybe the venue, maybe put the senior tour right after the PGA Tour, because you're not going to be dealing with practice rounds
Right.
and pro-ams
And they're
and that
playing,
kind of stuff.
yeah, and they got carts and
Yeah,
stuff. And
for sure.
we're coming up with ideas here. I like that. This was
We'll
good
send
stuff,
it. We'll
Scott.
send it in.
I'm very excited, obviously, again, about this event. It's one of the best on tour. Hopefully our plays are good. Be sure to check out all the amazing stuff at fantasy6pack.net. Be sure to follow my boy Scott on Twitter/X at SporterGolf. Mine is just my name spelled out. And I hope you guys keep it in the fairway this week and you make everything you look at. We'll see you guys soon.